What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to this multi-time frame forecast. We're going to be going over Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, so CAD JAPD. And before we get started, I want you guys to do one thing, and that's just like this video. Not only does it support us, but it gives everyone else an opportunity to see these videos as well. They could potentially be learning from it or even getting set up ideas and scraping away some pips each week. So that being said, do us and everyone else a favor. Like this video and we can get straight into it. So as always, we're going to go into the line chart. I'm just going to be looking at key areas of critical structure relative where price is at or where price is headed. And then in addition to that, we're just going to be looking for some simple trend lines as well. And yeah, so look left, the chart always leaves clues. Chances are if it's support and resistance once, it's been support and resistance in the past. And obviously, the more times that we see that it's been support and resistance, the more credible that particular area of structure is potentially. Mhm. Let's see, one more right here. Let's see what this looks like. So I switch back to the line chart, or sorry, candlestick chart. Just kind of looking for any particular patterns. We have an impulsive pattern to the downside with a nice healthy retracement on this monthly leg already. So we could be looking for a setup on another short opportunity, and we can do it to two positions, either right here, which would be this 100% of this leg, or some sort of fib extension, which would probably end up somewhere around here, ideally. So we just have an impulse leg to the downside, which is likely signifying that we're going to see another push to the downside. You can see we have a counter trend that's coming up here. So if we can somehow, I'll show you on the weekly chart, break this counter trend, we could see some heavy movement towards the downside. So we're at the peak of this downtrend as we're approaching this trend line up here, which is in conjunction and confluence with some critical areas of structure. And real quick, I want to go back to the monthly and look at some Fibonacci's for this leg. So it doesn't work exactly, but we're getting close to the 61%. So I'm just going to mark this up so I know what I'm looking at. 61% of the monthly plus structure plus trend line, and that's going to be monthly as well. Remember, if we always want to get information from the new leg, we need to get the previous leg. So if we want information from this leg, we need to get information on this leg, a fib from this leg, and vice versa. If we want to predict the next leg, then we need to figure out this leg right here, use this leg as a reference point. So assuming this is actually going to be our turning around point, we can see that the fib extension is telling us that we have a probability, a likely probability of making it down all the way here. So I just want to move this up to the side, get a little bit more organized. Real quick, I'm going to hit this magnet tool real quick, and that just helps you better align your fibs so you can have a more accurate setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight this area as a buying zone or selling zone, excuse me. And I'll explain more about that soon. Just because we're looking at getting in this area. And for us to look for our stop losses, we want to use this. Oops, take off the magnet tool real quick. We want to use a critical area of structure that we found from the past, in addition to the fib level, in addition to structure currently to where it's at, and also significant numbers. So right here, we're just going to put our stop loss just about here. So we're giving you a healthy amount of room to breathe. In fact, you can see this risk reward ratio is relatively high. So we could actually bring it up a little bit further if we wanted to. Um, but I'm looking at this one being a pretty safe trade, assuming everything is validated and we can actually break this trend line and test this area, this descending trend line as well. So if we can test this area of structure, test this descending trend line, and break this counter trend line, then we can have a high probability of us making a good move comfortably down to these target zones down here. So I'm going to show you a couple different target zones that I'm looking at that I'm interested in. First off, I'm going to start deleting some of these other lines so we're not getting confused. Let's switch back to this monthly real quick. Yep, that's what I thought. So two things are going on. We'll go here. We'll go here. All right. Okay, so because the difference between, here, I'll show you real quick, is only about 67 pips from the extension and this all-time low for this particular chart. It'd be okay if you close it out manually right here. So I'll just leave it there so you guys can see it. But for me personally, I'd probably put my TP2 somewhere around there just because, well, it's really close and I don't know, there's no need to be greedy. Plus, it's just a small difference of pips anyways. There's no need to try to scrape, a small percentage more. So I'm going to come back up here real quick because I accidentally deleted it. Okay, so this is TP2 or TP1, and this is just going to be structure. Just monitor this area because it could be a potential area of resistance, so it could act as support for us. And then TP2 is just going to be a major structural zone. And yeah, that's it. So this is CAD, Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. So we have three pieces of confluence right now. We're just going to be waiting for validation on this setup. So three things need to happen. We need to break this descending trend line, this counter trend. We need to respect this descending trend line. And then we also need to respect this area of structure as resistance. So if we can do those three things, in addition to your entry condition being satisfied, we have a high probability of it reaching at least to structure TP1 and possibly even TP2 since we are in a descending trend line. So once again, use those manual trailing stops, placing your stop loss strategically in an area of structure to allow your trade to breathe. However, still allowing it to continually scrape as many pips as you possibly can. So this is Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Hopefully you're finding this valuable and learning a little bit from it as well as taking some pips away. So see you guys in the next video. Bye.